welcome to my channel. I am Linda and I am a healer, a coach, and a facilitator. And in this channel, I bring you clarity about personal development, emotional intelligence, and practical spirituality concepts and how you can use them in your day-to-day to create a more meaningful, joyful, and fulfilling life. So today we are going to have a reading, and it is the month of November. But like I say in all of these readings, I'll get a couple of housekeeping things done right up front. Like I said in all of these readings, time and space are a concept of our world, our physical world, our dimension, and they don't exist in other dimensions. And basically what that means is that time and space do not really matter when it comes to these types of readings, right? I'm doing this for the month of November 2020, but the reading is valid for you whenever you find it. If you find it this month, or if you find it 10 years from now, whenever you find the reading, that's the time that you were meant to receive it. With that, I want to say that please don't try to force things to connect. If I'm giving you information here and whatever I'm saying doesn't connect with you, please don't try to make it connect. Maybe either only a portion of this reading applies to you, or the reading altogether is not for you. So maybe a future reading that I do, or one of my previous readings that you can find on my channel is for you, or maybe a completely different reader, right? So the other thing that I want to mention is that normally when I do these readings, when I remember, which is most of the time, I try to hold the cards up to the lens, to the camera lens, so you can see the cards. And the reason why I do that is so that you can get your own intuition about the cards. Sometimes that's going to be exactly the same as mine, but you have to remember that these are general readings, so they don't necessarily apply to everyone. And I think it's important for you to develop your own intuitive skills so that when I show the card, if something jumps out at you or you make a connection or you get an intuition about something, just please use that, right? Go with whatever feels that resonates for you. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is that I do intuitive readings. What that means is, or at least I'll explain the way I do my readings, which is basically when I use a combination of tarot cards and oracle cards. The tarot cards, and by the way, if you've heard this before, if you've been in my channel before and seen readings, you can skip a couple minutes ahead. I like to say this because, if new people come into the channel or haven't seen my readings, I want them to understand what I'm doing. But my readings are intuitive, and what that means is that I use tarot cards as well as oracle cards. Tarot cards are the cards that have a traditional meaning, so they're well known. So it's these types of cards that most of you have seen before, which have a specific traditional meaning. And then there's the oracle cards, which are cards like these, which usually have some sort of imagery drawn on them or painted or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they have words in them, and then they basically have the meaning that the creator assigns to them. Whoever creates the cards creates them with a little book, and the book tells you what each card symbolizes or means. So because I do intuitive readings, I do a combination of both. So for the oracle cards, I do read the books. For the tarot cards, I will give you the most traditional meaning of the card, but then I also tell you what I'm getting from the cards intuitively. And that has to do with a variety of things. It has to do with things that I notice, things that come to mind when I'm looking at the cards, the order in which the cards show up, a variety of things. But basically there's a lot of it that is also intuitive, so I just want to be clear about that. And then I think that is all that I want to talk about. I do mention a couple things. I don't usually do shuffling on camera, and you'll see a bunch of edits. Both of those are for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons is because I do readings in English and in Spanish with the same, I just draw the cards once, and then I do the reading in English and I do reading in Spanish, and sometimes I cut back and forth depending on how much content there is. So that's why that happens. So having said all of that, we can start with the reading. Okay, all, I am recording this video again because I was doing videos through January And I just realized as I started editing them that the last 2+ hours of my recordings have no sound. I'm not really sure what happened. I'm not really sure if the microphone malfunctioned, but basically I have to re-record everything. So here we go. So in this reading, the first question that I asked is, what should the viewers be paying attention to or watching out for in the next 3 to 4 weeks? And the first card that I got is the Ace of Swords. And traditionally in the tarot, the Ace of Swords signifies or symbolizes truth, understanding, clarity, clear communication, clarity of mind, right? Clarity of communication, clarity of mind, clarity of thought. And what I am getting here, I'm actually going to put it together with this other card first, and then I'll give you the intuitive interpretation. The other card that I got was the Two of Pentacles here. And now the Two of Pentacles traditionally represents things that are like time management, being able to be adaptable and flexible, being able to prioritize around a bunch of different tasks. So if you could see here, it looks like, a person, almost like a jester juggling 2 coins, right? Juggling 2 pentacles. And pentacles traditionally in tarot symbolize money, but they also symbolize tangible things, physical things of our, third dimension, our planet Earth, our world here, physical world here, money being one of them, but also time and space being another. And basically what this card is saying here, with these 2 cards together intuitively are telling me, is that for all of those of you who are viewing this, this is a time, the next 3 to 4 weeks from when you watch this reading, you really need to focus on being able to make choices, right? To balance and prioritize not just your choices, but the information. Sorry, let me just turn this around so I don't keep hitting it. But the information that you're receiving is important for you to balance your options and learn to navigate them so that you can get a little bit of clarity. So it's important for you. It almost feels like you don't have access to all of the information, so you can truly prioritize and make choices based on all of the information. So what I'm getting here, and actually as I'm doing this, I think I'm vaguely remembering when I did this reading a day or 2 ago, because I'm getting the same sense, and I think I did say this in the original video that has no sound, so is that it's important for you, the viewers, to focus on making choices and juggling and prioritizing based on the information you currently have in hand. So, and beyond that, also to really be able to tap into yourself to figure out what your own desires are, what your own needs are, and make, sort of like a balanced decision, an aligned decision based on that information. So what it's looking like for me here is that you're trying to make some choices, you're trying to make a decision, and you don't seem or feel like you have enough clarity or like you have enough information or substantial information to make that decision, right? That you don't have a good foundation in which to make that decision on. But what I would really encourage you is to dive within so that you can get a sense, a better sense of what it is that you want, and what it is that you need, and what it is that you believe, and let that guide you in your decision making. So you can then really prioritize and make a determination, sort of organize your thoughts and make a determination and a choice based on what is highest and best for you, obviously without harming anybody else, of course. Now, The next card that we have here is the shadow card. And when I talk about shadow in my practice, I'm talking about the subconscious mind. Anything that's been relegated to the back of our minds, be it fears, desires, beliefs, wounds, etc., that we're not actually fully conscious of it in our day-to-day, but they are still from the subconscious mind, possibly motivating and driving our behaviors, our thoughts, etc. And the question that I ask is, what is the shadow of this? What does the viewer need to pay attention to or become conscious of? And the card that I got was number 3, and I need to go look what that means in the book, because I don't remember what I said yesterday, because I actually did quite a bunch of readings because I was doing all the readings for 2021, so I have to redo quite a bit of work today. Oh, okay, I think I remember now. Now that I'm looking at the book, I think I remember. So this card number 3, the shadow for you, what you need to be conscious of is their motives. Their as in the other person or the other persons in plural. So what this book is basically saying is that you are not seeing the true motives of the other people involved in this situation. So basically what this is also saying, it mentions it in the book, right, that not everybody always has your best interest at heart. But it also, one thing I want to make clear is that sometimes what motivates people, even when people are motivated to take action that may be harmful to you in one way or another, that is not always a conscious choice, right? That is sometimes something that happens in people's subconscious mind. So they're not fully aware that that is what their motivation is or that's what their driver is. So I think it's basically, this card is saying you need to be conscious of the fact that not only can other people have motives that could be harmful to you, but sometimes people are not even aware of what their true motives are. So having seen this card, so that's what you need to be aware of, right? You need to be fully conscious of, but that sort of reinforces what we were talking about here, which is that you really need to focus on what it is that is integrity for you, what it is that you want to choose, what it is that you desire, what it is that you need, and really get in touch with yourself so you can gain some clarity and make choices that are for what is highest and best for you, and ideally what is also highest and best for others. Now, and actually, I just had a thought here. This is interesting. So something occurred to me because I'm doing this, and I'm going to post this tonight, which is one day ahead of time that I normally post it, because what occurred to me is that this may be something that may be helpful to people that are voting in the next couple of days. So the election, for those of you who are in the US, the presidential election is this week in a couple of days. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but right now this is actually giving me an energetic of also being something that relates to politics and the upcoming election. So now, the next cards that I pulled was, what is the guidance for the viewers to help clear and heal and navigate the situation, in the best way possible. And the 2 cards that I got were the 7 of Cups and the Page of Swords. Now, the 7 of Cups, I'll put it up here. Normally what this card means, or traditionally in the tarot, this card talks about abundance of choice, abundance of opportunity, abundance of things coming your way. And it is the 7 of Cups, but if you look at which cups usually have to do with the emotional aspect. But if you look at this card here, there's a bunch of things, there's material things here. I think this is like jewelry and a bunch of other stuff, and then like a castle. And then there's also something hidden here, something that you can't see that seems to be hidden or covered by a sheet or something. And there's like a snake and there's a dragon. So basically what this is showing me is that there's going to be an abundance of opportunity, an abundance of choices for you. But you will not necessarily know the outcome of all of these. Some of these are going to be positive, and some of these are may be negative. And some of these may be neutral, right? So you are not really, you may not necessarily be able to see what the outcome of each of these choices is. So again, this brings us back to the importance of connecting to yourself. And actually, interestingly enough, the next card here, which we could consider a clarifier for this, is the Page of Swords. And let me just put it here so you can see it. Now, the Page of Swords is traditionally symbolizes, you know, a new phase, the fact that you may be embarking in a new phase of your life. Because it is also a sword card, swords in the tarot represent truth, they represent clarity, they represent knowledge, mental, intellectual intelligence, etc. So what this is telling me is that these choices that are being presented to you here are going to move you into a new phase of your life, right? That these choices are going to help propel you into a new phase of your life. But again, because you don't have access necessarily to see what what the outcomes are of each and or all of these choices, is really important that these come from a clear place, that these come from a place where you are doing your own work and you're diving deep into what your needs, what your desires are. And what by that I mean the purest needs and desires, right? And reconnect with yourself and what is true for you, so that you can make choices that are in integrity for you. And that is what's really going to move you and propel you to this new great phase in your life that's coming up. Now, the other thing that comes to mind here, right, is when we're talking about the Page of Swords, the page is a slow moving card, and relative to the Knight, for example. So the Knight in the tarot implies something that is moving fast, right? Something that is potentially already here and is progressing pretty fast, whereas the Page really is more representative of something that is moving slowly. And a lot of times can also represent something that hasn't even started yet, right? Something that is in the planning stages or being conceptualized, and maybe even you've taken the first couple of steps, but really hasn't moved forward very rapidly. And the reason why I bring that up is because in that sense, we can also consider this card to mean something that is more paused, right? Pause as in P-A-U-S-E-D. So something that kind of pauses or moves a lot more slowly. And the reason why I think that is important is because tied as a clarifier for this card and tied to the Seven of Cups, where we have all these choices, it is also important for you viewers to really take some time to evaluate and reevaluate your choices, right? All of these opportunities that are going to be coming your way, and these go together, right? So you need to get in touch with this so you can evaluate all of these options based on this information that you have here, right? This clarity that you have here, so that because you don't have access to necessarily the motives of all of the other people that are involved in these particular situations. So it's really important that you trust in yourself, gain clarity about yourself, use that then to make choices here, and then have those choices be, take action on those choices, right? And one of the things that I work with a lot in my practice is this idea of, you know, taking action, right? Because a lot of times we talk about choices and decisions, but we don't actually take the steps. And because there's so many choices here and we don't have all of the outcomes, we don't have a clarity on what the outcomes may be, is important that we take action in a maybe slower way for you, right? So maybe decide, you know, figure out what it is that is in integrity for you, make a choice, right? And take a couple of action steps towards that choice and reevaluate, right? See if that is taking you to where you want to go, if that's helping you feel the way you want to feel. If it is, then continue forward. If it isn't, then pause, reevaluate, make other choices, and take other action, right? So that's something that I wanted to mention because the Page of Swords came up here, and I think that's an important part of this process for you. Okay, so I hope that this is helpful to you, and thank you so much for your attention. And as always, until next time, namaste.